Hey everyone, welcome back to the Film Fund podcast. I'm your host, founder, and executive producer at the Film Fund, Thomas Verdi. I'm also an award-winning filmmaker, producer, and film festival judge. I started the Film Fund to give filmmakers an easier, alternative way to get their films funded. Instead of working on a screenplay, crowdfunding campaign, or grant application, you write one sentence pitching your film for a chance to receive up to $10,000 and other prizes to make it. Our spring 2022 narrative and documentary funding contests at the time of this recording are still open. By the time this episode gets published, we're a little ahead of time in the recording. They'll probably be closed, but check out the website at thefilmfund.co for the most up-to-date information on our contests. We run them regularly, about 4 contest periods per year. So if you're listening at a later date, check the website for the most up-to-date info on that. Today we have Scott and Sarah Naar on the show. They are filmmakers. They won the Expressway Cinema Rental sponsored prize of the 2-day rental of the Blackmagic Ursa Mini G2 and RE Prime lens set. And we're super excited to talk about their project and what they have going on. Guys, thanks so much for coming. Can you give give our listeners a little bit more of an intro?
Thanks for
about
having
yourself?
us, Thomas. I guess I'll go first. My name's Scott Naar. I'm a director and screenwriter. Born in Jamaica, moved to the U.S. when I was about 17. Went to Chicago, studied communications in school. While in school, I wanted to get into filmmaking. I'd always been a big cinephile, big into movies, like all that. And I decided when I was about 19, like, you know what, I'm going to give this a go and try my hand at actually making movies, not just watching them. So from there, after college, I went to Florida for a while for various circumstances, and went to film school there in Fort Lauderdale and in Miami, where I studied at the Art Institute and then at the University of Miami. Um, did a bunch of short films at both schools. Met Sarah at the University of Miami. We kind of uh, joined forces and started making short films together. Um, then kind of went into decided that we're going to try and break more into like writing together and screenwriting together, and that's how we kind of started collaborating on that level. And of course, like, we got married too, and
somewhere in there,
somewhere in there. And we moved to LA in 2019, and we've been here since. Just since we've been here, I've directed and Sarah's produced 3 films now. A horror film in 2019, a horror film in 2021, and a drama film this year, which is what the Film Fund was for that drama film this year. So that's kind of just a quick overview for me. I'll hand it over to Sarah. I'm not going to hog the mic.
Short and sweet. I've been a writer forever, was in New York. I got cold, decided to move to Miami. That's where I met Scott. Went to UM as well to get my MFA. Still deciding if that was a good move or not, but I mean, it worked out because we met, and now we're here in LA making films. So, yeah.
Very cool. So you guys both have your MFA?
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. I've been going back and forth with that. I finally decided not to get it,
Yeah.
And then someone asked me the other day, have you ever thought about going back to school? And it just like started getting me thinking again. I was like,
yeah. It's great because like you have so many resources, like you have access to insurance and equipment and some of the things that make like indie filmmaking rather like kind of so much more challenging in an independent setting like this. So it kind of, I feel like it was good for that, but then I don't know, if you're already making films, I feel like it's kind of a toss up because then it's like, well, what, I don't know. I think that was the biggest thing was like, you just have the space to make films, but if you're already doing it, keep your money.
Unless you're
that's the main thing. Like if it was not so expensive, I would probably go in a heartbeat.
Expensive.
I wouldn't be able to run the Film Fund as involved as I do, but it's so expensive. So it's definitely a big decision. But that's awesome. And I'm glad you guys met there. That's so cool, and get to work together as well. And you both do what you love.
Yeah.
So do you both do filmmaking full time?
Well, we are both kind in the worlds, but we both have day jobs.
Okay.
I work at the. That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say an MFA is worth it in my opinion. Only at this point, only if you're going to the American Film Institute.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a shameless plug for them because I work there
Oh, no way.
on their staff.
Okay.
So I've been able to observe the entire process of the MFA program, and it's pretty. It's worth it.
Yeah.
but also it's super hard to get into.
Sure.
But I that's where I work. That's my day job. So it's not in the industry per se, but it kind of is. It's kind of like a little bit adjacent to it because it's like it's working at a place where people from the industry and people that are trying to get into the industry are making their films to do so. So
what do you do there?
And I work in advertising, so no one,
Oh, cool.
no one in my world is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott.
Yeah, go
What do
ahead.
you do?
I work at the
or at AFI.
I work at the post production house, the SDAC. I essentially help the students with their editing with the editing side of their film process.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Like hands on, like if they're struggling with an edit, you'll step in, or it's more. Oh, very cool.
Yes.
That's awesome.
No, I won't. I will never like
Right.
cut for them. I mainly just like help them with deliverables and like any troubleshooting they need and uh, that kind of stuff. I also teach some workshops there in like color correcting and stuff like that. So oh, did it freeze?
Yeah.
We are back. The Film Fund pays for the worst Wi-Fi at our home podcast studio. We are bootstrapping as always. So
Are you
apologies
you're in New York,
for the break.
right? Or you're
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Oh, okay, I'm from Delaware.
Philadelphia, yeah.
So not too far.
Oh, very cool. Awesome.
I always fly into Philly.
Oh, do you? Cool. Scott, you were talking about what your role was in the post-production department or whatever you called it
right.
at AFI.
Yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, I was basically saying that like I help with like deliverables and like any troubleshooting they may have. I'm also kind of like just in general like a mentor, especially in terms of like editing in DaVinci Resolve and I teach color workshops sometimes
very
too
cool.
to the directing students. So yeah, a few things. It's a medley of stuff. Yeah.
Sarah, how about you? You said you work in advertising. What's your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, I work for an advertising firm that does campaigns for film and TV. So I get to see a lot of things before they come out, which is exciting and fun to work on the creative campaigns. But I just work as a junior account executive, so just kind of overseeing the creative process. Yeah.
Gotcha. Are you able to say which firm that is?
Yeah, I work for the Refinery Creative.
Oh, cool.
And she
to everyone listening out there, you can't hear what is so awesome that we just said because we had to edit it out for legal reasons.
NDAs are real.
NDAs, but
that's my fault.
All good. But that's so cool. What I love that you guys work together. I love that you're kind of both in the industry, still working in some capacity. What are some of the highlights about your work that you like to focus on? You said you did a horror film, and then this one is a drama. Are there certain areas or themes you usually like to focus on?
Yeah. Oh,
definitely. I think no matter the genre, I mean, we kind of started working in the horror space because, I mean, my background's in comedy and his background is more in drama.
Okay.
And we were like, well, how can we knew we wanted to write together. So we're like, what's a way that we can kind of fuse our worlds here? And we're both really big horror fans. So that's kind of how we fell into writing horror together in the first place. But even, and now we're kind of transitioning more into drama with this latest film. It just took me a while to get there and not try to make everything funny. So, but now I think the biggest themes we love to focus on are definitely religious drama and family. So even in our horrors, like it's very family centered. And we both have great families. So it's not like drawing from our life experience. I don't know what's wrong with us. But yeah, I think those are definitely the themes that we really like to explore. People kind of breaking out, finding their own way, and dealing with family crap.
I would also add to that mental illness and social outcasts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
does that come from anything personal in terms of social outcasts?
Oh,
For
yeah, we're
me,
big
for
fans.
well, I don't know. Well, you're kind of pop for me, yeah. Like, I wouldn't. Are you? Would you consider yourself a social outcast?
No.
Yeah. And the mental illness aspect, I think that's just like that just comes from
Being a millennial.
being a 20 late 20 something, early 30 something in
Yeah. No,
2022.
I feel you. Definitely feel you there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And tell us about your winning pitch with the Film Fund. Now, we don't always release the winning sentences out of just respect for you guys until the film's released. Unless you
Mhm.
want to go ahead and release it, I can pull it up and read it. Which would you like to do? You can just talk about it kind of in general, or we could read your winning pitch.
We could do both. I don't
Okay,
mind at all. We could.
cool.
Yeah,
Let's
read it.
Yeah,
pull
That'd
it
be great.
up.
sure. Yeah.
My handy dandy database. Okay. A gay Jamaican immigrant is under threat of being deported and in desperation must beg his virulently homophobic father for help with applying for a green card. The money will go to camera equipment. Now, there's a semicolon in there, so it is one sentence. Just if anyone's listening, they're like, "Oh, that sounds like two sentences." Nope, they used a semicolon, so it's still in the rules. Little tip for
There's
anyone
a
out there if they're
semicolon.
struggling with the one sentence thing: semicolons are allowed, and that is just
Semicolons are
Life
the
hacks.
yep.
yeah, semicolons are great. Um, and that's just when we're at the Film Fund, we always look for stories. I was talking about this on the previous podcast episode. We always look for stories with conflict in them, and there's so much conflict in this pitch. You have the threat of him being deported.
Yeah.
You have the conflict
Mhm.
between him and his father, who's homophobic, him being
Mhm.
gay, and it's just like great. It's there's so much going on, and I love it. And you guys, yeah,
It's a
tell me a little
maelstrom,
bit more
yeah.
about the project, about the story, how you arrived at it.
Yeah, sure. So, like you said, I said like I was, born in Jamaica. Um, I won't disclose who, but I have two family members
Hmm.
who are gay. And they both actually live in Jamaica. Two of my only family members who still live down there. A lot of my family members have moved
Hmm.
to the US or Canada. And the story kind of just birthed from the idea that one of my family members essentially was in school in the US, and he had to go back to Jamaica at the end of his schooling because he couldn't find a job to get a work visa. And he actually had come out while in
Hmm.
America because Jamaica, if no one knows, is a very, very almost like I don't want to say that violently homophobic, but kind of
Hmm.
violently
I didn't know that.
homophobic, like very regressed in that. Yeah, very
I didn't
regressed.
either, yeah.
Yeah.
Before this
Hmm.
up or before meeting you, obviously. I think that's like the crazy thing about it is like at being here in the States, we have this image of what Jamaica looks like and we're like,
Hmm.
wow, they're so liberal and it's a party country and it's so cool and great and everything. And then it's like, wow, when you really get to hear people's real life stories, you're like, okay, that's just what we see, but in reality there's people really
Hmm.
hurting down there from homophobia. And I think it was really cool that you were willing to kind of share that story and share that side of things.
Yeah, yeah. Growing up, like it's kind of like it's just like intrinsic to be not just like weird about it, but also like just like
Hmm.
Against
virulently
it.
against it, like virulently like contra it. And like like what I was saying is that like my relative was concerned about
Hmm.
going back down there, having come out. Not that anyone down there particularly knew it, but like just concerned that like they would have to go down there and essentially like hide their
Go back in the closet.
yeah, go back in the closet, like hide their whatever you want
Wow.
to be, their romantic partners or whatever. So um
Really sad.
yeah, I just that's how the idea just like it started in my head, and then like obviously I told Sarah about it, and then for a while wanted it to be a feature. Actually had written like prose for a feature for it. Been knocking it around for years now, since like 2016. And it was in December actually of 2021. What am I saying?
2021, yeah.
Yeah, last December, where I came to Sarah and I was like, we should just write it as a just let's try it as a short. Let's just try it as a short. I think it's a really good story. I feel like we can I really want to put the story out there. Why don't we just write this film and make it in early next year, and make it as a short film, and see where it can go from there. Maybe it can turn into a feature down the line. Hopefully, actually, crossing fingers, would really want that to happen. But yeah, that's kind of just how it happened, and then we just kind of dove in, head first. So
I love that. Yeah. Do you typically draw inspiration from your own life for your work?
For me, I would say no.
Yeah.
This is the first
Okay.
film. I would say you can piggyback on it. I'd say I've drawn inspiration for myself in various characters throughout short films I've written and we've written, and feature films we've written.
Mm-hmm.
But I personally have never taken exactly from my life, because I'm a very external, imaginative person. I like writing stories that I either learn about through someone else, or like I get passionate about this certain topic,
Yeah.
like, and I'm just like, oh, I'd love to,
Mm-hmm.
I want to write a story in that space. So this is the first film
Yeah.
for me that's like this kind of, and it's still not like exactly personal, but it's the closest,
Mm-hmm.
the most intimate one so far. And
Sure.
I think I probably draw a little bit more. Um, I've been, I think, especially with like some of the religious stuff, like I've been part of some weird churches, not anymore, but in the past. And so I think some of like processing some of
Hmm.
that in like the horror space, and just calling out like some of the things and bad behaviors that I've seen, but obviously heightening them.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say I probably
Are we talking like Scientology here, or
not
something different?
quite as bad, but
a little bit more
definitely
standard.
a little bit more mainstream.
Yeah,
But
Okay.
mainstream. Yeah.
like a mega church, like a mega evangelical church that just had like some
I gotcha.
some like
in
abusive
in the
evil,
Christian
yeah.
space, but like, yeah, like,
Yeah. It's like, are we about to do a
Yeah,
Scientology
yeah,
expose on the Film Fun podcast?
Going clear too,
Yeah.
right? No, but in some ways, I'm like, wow, you guys really aren't that much better than them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's more like putting myself in the protagonists, and then being like, what would I do if I was in this really weird situation? Like kind of putting myself more as like our characters rather than the situation. If that makes any sense. But this one was kind of tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think one of the interesting things about this story that we did draw from our own lives was being in an interracial, intercultural relationship, and kind of like the, I don't want to say the pressures, because we did get married, but like the pressures that kind of come along with that when you do know that someone's visa is coming up, and you're like,
Yeah.
well,
It happened to me too.
Yeah, it's
in
like,
a sense.
Mm-hmm.
we were dating and we knew we were going to get married anyway. And then it's like, well, you're at the end of your visa. Like, what do we do? So we just kind of got married or engaged and married in a couple of weeks. And it,
That's crazy.
it was great and it worked out. But I mean, a lot of people do turn to marriage as a way to stay here, even if it's, of course there's marriage fraud, but even if it's legitimate and you're in a relationship, and it's, I don't know, we just kind of wanted to draw from the fact that like it's so hard for immigrants sometimes to be able to stay here, even though they've built a life. Like our protagonist, we say, has been in the country for 10 years, and it's like one incident can jeopardize all of that.
Yeah, and that's
not okay.
It's not, and it's very much like a problem, and that's why also it's a very close thing to me. I've been very much like trying to like wave a flag for a while now about the plight of like immigrants who are here both illegally and legally, that get kind of the short end of the stick and have to like leave suddenly after like developing a life here and putting down roots because of, in the story, this character, like you said, he's been here for 10 years, and he gets essentially like something happens that makes his work visa get revoked, and and it's a big
touchy.
it's a big incident, but it's like also like there's so much easier ways that can happen. You can get laid off.
People love to say like, well, do it legally, get in line, come this way. And it's like, okay, well, so many people do, and then it's not that simple. It's not so black and white, not to advocate for one thing or another, but it's like, it's all broken.
It's an anxiety inducing thing. I can say that, like, from my experience when I was in school, I was in school for 7 to 8 years straight in order to learn more, obviously. But a big reason why I've been to 3 colleges is because to stay in the country, and
you're just
every
a big
time
nerd, and
I'm just a big nerd. Yeah.
I know. The other day he's like, I would love to go back to school. I'm like, no, you're cut off.
No
more school.
I said just AFI. I would go to AFI, and that's it. That's the only other school I'd consider going back to because of the resources. But no, I mean, it's like it's anxiety inducing. I remember every year coming up to the end of semester, I would be freaked out because tuition at schools is high, and we were kind of, me and my family were kind of struggling for money to pay it off, and it was always up in the air for me, at least, whether or not I would continue to be in the States every 6 months, essentially.
Wow.
And that sucked. So it's a bunch of that stuff too. And I think also too, when we wrote it, Sarah brought the great perspective of, like, because in the story, the Jamaican, he's dating an American man. So Sarah was able to bring that perspective of being on the other side of the equation, of being the person who is obviously, like, staying in the States, or like, like in that vein, and having their partner, like, potentially leaving them for an indefinite amount of time. So bunch of that. All of that.
And I love that you're able to, as anxiety inducing and stressful and horrible as the situations are, I do love that you're able to use those personal experiences to kind of beef up the story and give it, I don't know if credit's the right word, but it's like, hey, like, we've actually lived perspective. We've actually lived this. We understand these struggles, and we're going to inject them into the story, whether or not it's it's not the exact story of what you've experienced. You're still able to relate to the experience and the plight of what the characters are going through, and in the end, that just makes the characters so much stronger, because you're like, I've been here. I know what this is. And I think that's an amazing advantage you have when you're able to draw on personal experience.
For sure.
Whether you're writing or directing or both. I mean, there was a scene, I won't talk too much about my personal life and experiences, but I went through, I was in the hospital for a little bit, and just like surgeries and things like that. And we had a scene in my latest short film, and there's this guy in the hospital bed, and he's being, like, rushed down the hallway, like, out of the ambulance, and, like, nurses. And I was directing, and someone on the crew was like, oh, you shouldn't have him looking like that. And I was like, no, I fucking been there. I know what that looks like.
That's a great point. Yep.
Yeah. So it's just like being able to draw on that life experience is so important.
Sure.
What is the status of the project? Now, you guys wrapped production, right?
So I'm also editing it and coloring it.
Okay. Oh wow.
So yeah, I tend to be, and Sarah can vouch for this, I tend to be a little bit of a control freak in post production, and it's just because, like,
I'm the same
way. I've been editing since I was 14. Out of all the roles I've done in the film world, I've actually been editing the longest, because I've been editing since I was 14, because when you're 14, it's 2004. Like, I wasn't making films, and I didn't really know how to write a screenplay per se. So the one thing I felt like I could do was edit, like, various, like, little videos in Windows Movie Maker, and then she moved on to Final Cut Pro 7, or no, Final Cut 7. Just we're in post production. I actually finished just picture locked, so that's great. That's exciting.
Oh, congrats!
Just picture locked. and about to go into some sound mixing and sound design.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll have the project. We want to try and have the project done before end of summer, or
Like
I,
midsummer.
I'd say midsummer, like maybe like early August, because we want to try and submit it to Slam Dance and Sundance. We're going all the
Why
way.
not?
Yeah, like
Hell yeah.
yeah,
All the big ones. Let's
yeah,
go.
Love that attitude.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
yeah.
So
So
are you editing in Resolve?
I'm editing in Resolve. I am. I'm doing everything in Resolve.
Awesome.
I'm ingesting, editing, sound designing, and coloring.
I love Resolve,
It's the
honestly.
best.
Like I feel like
It's the best.
people are still attached to Adobe,
Yeah.
but I mean, we're talking about things that are expensive, like film school. Adobe's expensive.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
Adobe, you're really expensive
Yeah.
for low budget filmmakers.
Come on, yeah.
And it's subscription based. You never stop paying
I
for it. But
know.
Mhm.
DaVinci, even if you want the full version, is what, like $300?
It's
to
300,
like be
and
able to export in 4K.
I can tell you, as someone who has worked in both free and studio, I work in studio now because I was able to get a free dongle from a friend. But
Oh, cool.
there is the differences between the free and the studio version are pretty minimal. I'm sure DaVinci would argue that with me. But
Sure.
they're pretty
Yeah, no, I mean,
minimal.
we have this we have a sister company now, FF Branded, an ad agency. So Sarah, I may want to pick your brain at some point. But
Definitely.
we've been doing some in-house editing on projects, and we've just been using Resolve, and we've been
Wow.
using the free version. We haven't had a need to use the pro version yet because there's so much in there. I mean, everything we've been exporting so far has been for web, so we don't really have a need for anything above 1080p.
Wow.
I mean, and you can ingest. I think you can ingest 4K.
You can
So we've been
ingest
doing
4K.
that.
Yeah, the thing
Yeah.
great about DaVinci 2 is that it reads every camera type. It exports every type of file, and it has the best color correction software, bar none. And hey, our last film, the horror film I mentioned that we did last year, I also edited and colored on my own and did it completely, and sound design, and did it completely in DaVinci free. So
There you go.
That's great.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, shout out to DaVinci.
Yeah.
Shout out to DaVinci. It's what's up. It's
sponsor
it's
us with something for all this free promo we're giving you.
They're like, no, you're telling everyone you could just have the free version.
That's true too. That's true too.
But still sponsored.
So, what attracted you to Slam Dance in particular? You mentioned that is a big deadline you want to hit.
Well, with Slam Dance, a lot of films throughout the years have kind of taken off through Slam Dance. To name a few, like I believe, like in the '90s, I think Christopher Nolan's Following flew off through Slam Dance. So did a few other short films that I know of that have really like led to the filmmakers getting like a lot of traction in the industry. So I think that's what it is. It's kind of like Sundance, but like how Sundance was in the '90s, where it was more of like an indie scene. Now Sundance is like a little bit less than that. And Slam Dance is kind of more like steeped in the indie scene. But even now they're also kind of like but I think that Slam Dance is a good avenue, and like I said, we're gonna try and submit to Sundance too. Not even try, we're going
and it just
to.
seems like the stories that they like and accept are kind of right up this alley, where it's like real life, real people, real, I don't know, I feel like this, I was about to say like a slogan for the USA Channel by accident, where it's like real life, real stories, real people or something. I'm like, all right, I've been watching too much TV. But it's like along those lines, like the films that have come out of there are just genuine, and that's what we hope that we've made, so we just hope that it would be something that would fit into their slate.
Yeah, fingers crossed, and
Yeah,
keep us posted on the whole festival process.
yeah, we will.
if you get into any festivals, which I'm sure you will, you let us know, and we'll write blog posts about them and updates, because the community loves to see projects and filmmakers that go to festivals, because that's what we all want to do. What are your thoughts on film festivals? I mean, have you done the festival thing before with films?
I got a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, we haven't.
Okay.
Don't say too much. No. We haven't much. We did a little bit in the beginning, like the very early stages. But honestly, like for us, we've just been making films with like $5 and not doing a very good job of putting any budget towards marketing and festival and stuff like that, which has been, I think, a mistake probably on mostly my end as the producer in the past. And so then when it, came time to it and it was, during the pandemic and we're all like on half our salaries and we're like, well, we don't have any money. So it just wasn't, an option for a while. Like we were broke.
We said, we send it into festivals, but it's like, I know that like a lot of even our colleagues will send, like, let's be real, like film festivals, I've looked at the statistics, they let in 2% of films that are submitted.
It's tough.
Yeah, you just have to cast such a wide net.
You have to submit to like 50, 60 film festivals. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes to get into like a good crop. And I think to Sarah's point, what she's trying to say is that, not what she's trying to say, but what I can piggyback on is like, we just haven't. It's not that we haven't submitted to festivals. We just have submitted to very minimal amount because we just haven't had the money.
It's so tough. I've been talking about this a little bit too. There's a good documentary called Official Rejection. I talked about this on the last podcast episode too. It's a really good watch. It kind of delves into the festival industry. And just shows how expensive it is and how hard it is to get into festivals and what it's like. And
with Film Freeway and even before with Without a Box, it's just so easy now to like submit to a festival that I understand. I guess from their perspective, like it is they get like thousands sometimes of submissions. It's just tough sometimes on the other end. We've gotten into quite a few. Like even our last film from 2019 got into I think he got into two festivals.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah. Out of 10 that we submitted to. But we got 8 rejections.
Yeah. So that one since we like at that point, I think it was during the pandemic, we were like, well, let's figure out a different way. So we just put it on YouTube, and then it actually got like 10,000.
No way!
It's still
a little bit.
That's awesome.
It's still like growing.
Views and
that's
growing.
Great.
Completely
so
organic.
We're like, oh, that's cool.
Without even marketing it much.
But with the film we did in 2021, and then this one for sure, we're like, all right, we're gonna make a point to get it out into the world.
What we didn't even say this. We read the pitch about it, but what's the name of this upcoming short film? Leaving. I love that.
Yeah, Leaving.
And what's the one that has
names.
Names are always tough to land on one.
It's gone through 3 names. Yeah. We finally landed on Leaving after we had wrapped
oh really? Wow, that's funny.
So the entire crew still think it's like the whole name.
That's funny. And what's the name of the one that racked up like 10,000 views on YouTube? Umbra. Okay. So if I just Google that, it'll come up.
Yes. Yeah. If you Google or just go on YouTube and type in Umbra,
look for Umbra Super Astra films.
No, I would say Umbra 2020.
Okay. We'll find it. We'll link to it in the show notes too. But that's awesome. Yeah. The Film Fund, we're all about how to promote yourselves as a filmmaker, with digital marketing today. Yeah. Do you have any tips on how you arrived at those views? Was it kind of like if you build it, they will come kind of thing, or did you just distribute it? Because generally that's not how it works.
I think that sorry to jump in on you, but I do think it was partly if you build it, they will come. But I think also Scott did a really great job during that time of like building up our social media presence. He made a Super Astra Instagram page, which is Super Astra is like just what we call our film company. And he made an Instagram page and was posting a lot about it, and was really great about posting teasers and interacting with people and like following other people kind of in the horror space and indie film space. And so just felt like a nice, not 10,000 followers. I think there's still even only like a couple of thousand followers. It's not like that, but I think that definitely helped like get it off the ground on YouTube in terms of views, because that community was already like, oh cool, we're excited. And Scott said, I've talked to him a couple times, and he said he has this film, and just kind of networking in that sense, like with the community, not even networking, just trying to meet other people in the same fan base as us. And then from there, I have no idea. It just took off. I feel like one day it was like 2,000 views, and then the next day we're like,
that's awesome.
Oh my god!
not like when we initially posted it. I think it got about it was in it.
It's like
Gosh,
my mom just viewing it
well,
over and
it
over.
got like 300 to 400 views the first time we posted, like on the first like day, and that was after like a complete onslaught of like sharing it and posting it and all these stuff. And then I don't know what happened. Like I remember telling you, I checked back like a couple months after, and we were suddenly at like 6K views, and like
Yeah,
I
it keeps growing.
I don't know how, but like I literally,
because the horror community is the best. Like, no offense to all the other filmmakers and film communities. Like, we love you all, and I love them all. But horror is the best. Like when
horror fans are
like
diehard.
when we love something, we just like go all out and share it, and I feel like that's just kind of what happened.
And people just enjoy out of because when it comes to like a short film, like I mean, it's something that you like find online or whatever. At least I feel it's not the same as like a feature where you pay for it, you go to the theater, you pay for it on Amazon. It's like a lot of times you see like a short film just kind of hanging out on the web, and you don't really watch it. Maybe if it's like a drama or something, like you do, but like I feel like with horror,
it's just a good time.
It's just like it's a good time. So like people like love to watch a short horror because like I want to get scared for 10 minutes. Let's go.
That's awesome.
Full adrenaline boost in the middle
I love
of the
that.
day.
Yeah, and online communities are so important. I mean, that's how we built the Film Fund up. Like we only have a few thousand followers on Instagram, but we have like almost 20,000 email subscribers on MailChimp, and it's just like our community. We have a Discord channel, which I'd love to see you guys in more. If you still need the link to join, let me know. It's it's we're big fans of Discord. I use that for internal, like instead of Slack, we use Discord for internal teams communications too. I have like a bunch of different servers, NFT stuff. Anyway, we're getting off topic. But just talking about community, what are shameless plug? But what are some of your favorite things about the Film Fund?
Well, I really sorry to cut you off again. Go. I really love that it feels like a community. Like even the fact that like as soon as we found out, because I mean, full transparency, Scott submitted and was the one that was like, oh my gosh, like I found this really cool thing, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And I think I was actually at home like visiting my family, so I didn't really know. And then it was like as soon as we found out that we had won, and we're like, oh my gosh, follow these people. Like the way that you guys interact, make everybody feel like, I don't know, like it's made it feel like you're invested in what we're doing, and like even sharing photos from set and then having us here and just communicating even briefly on Instagram, and just the way that it seems like it's so genuine that that's how you guys interact with everybody. Like it makes it seem like it's a community that really cares about each other. And then of course, like it's amazing to support indie filmmakers. And like I think you said at the beginning, like it's so hard to find resources to do this, and so to just make it a little bit easier and kind of remove some of those barriers, that even if it's your most minimal prize, which I don't know what that would be, just say even if it's just like a pat on the back, I feel like that kind of gives people the extra boost that they need to maybe overcome that first step of saying like, okay, I can do this. And it really does feel like you guys
that means so much. I love that you feel that way. Thanks so much. Yeah, I mean that's me on the Instagram writing comments and So that's like we're a small company. We work with but a lot of the stuff behind the scenes is me. So that means a lot. And I just love seeing updates when people send in behind the scenes photos, or they give me. I just got an update from Marissa Slavin the other day, one of our previous winners. She just wrapped production on her project, and she's going into 12-week post production. I just love those updates. It's like, oh wow, we're actually doing something here.
Well, we'll be definitely sharing some stills soon. And I just wanted to say the thing that like because she said like I found it, and what I found your I can't remember how exactly I got to the website, but I got there. What I like, and I just want to say, and I think you can attest to this too, Sarah, what I like about the Film Fund especially is that we've applied to so much grants for our short films over the years, and obviously like we're willing to do that for anything to make our short film happen. The thing is that like it's just like they do it. The thing about the Film Fund is that I like the way you guys have your submission process, where it's just like write a sentence and submit. And I love that because it's like it's so simple, clean, and like you can get a lot from a sentence. And I was like, this is such a cool and like innovative idea in order to fund indie filmmakers, because you don't have to, as an indie filmmaker or someone, you don't have to like go through like I don't know if you've done it yourself, like gone through like the 20 pages
The grant
of
process.
yeah.
Oh, it's yeah. That was the inspiration
Yeah.
for the film fund.
Yeah.
I was looking for funding for my short film Son of Blackbeard a few years ago,
Yeah.
more than a few years ago now, and it was
time.
just grueling applying to these grants.
It's
They were
grueling.
like,
It's so
they like you
it's
said, they're
so
like 20
much. It's
pages.
like
I actually met with one of the grant committees, and the woman on the grant committee said, "No, I'm not really supposed to be telling you this, but this is a really good application. You're likely going to get this grant." And I was like, "Holy shit, this is
That's
awesome!"
Yeah.
And I didn't get it.
Oh.
Like, yeah,
It's-
so it was terrible.
yeah,
I went through all that process, and
yeah,
it's just
like,
it's such a hard.
it's
I mean,
so
grants
much.
are great. I'm so glad they exist,
Yeah.
and for the people who are able to get them,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
But it is a full time job
yeah,
applying
It's
to
it really
grants.
it's
is.
tough. It's like I even had this before I found you guys. I was looking because I was looking for stuff, and we were looking for stuff,
Yeah.
and I found this one, but it was through I think it was through the MPI, and they have a bunch of stuff, but it was just like the application is just like heavy. It's heavy duty, and it's just so much that you have to like put
Is that
in
Motion
there.
Picture Institute?
I believe.
What is MPI?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, Motion Picture Institute. Yeah, and it's great, but it's just like 20 pages. Like,
Yeah.
It feels like it's more for feature films, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Than
Yeah.
short films.
Yeah, for sure.
So
and
accessibility is
accessibility
what makes you guys great too.
accessibility. I
Awesome.
think so, and
Yeah.
and just the cleanness of it all. It's very clean. Like like it's very clean. Even the website, even the submission process. I love that you guys on your site like have examples from previous winners and like
That's helpful.
kind of like just help you through it. And no, it's great. And then of course the prize itself that we got was
So cool.
was instrumental. Like especially with the lenses I've always wanted to shoot, because I DP'd it too. So I directed
cool.
and DP'd it. So
You really are a control freak.
Yeah, well, this was
That's
my
the first time you've done that though.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
the first time I've done
Like,
it.
and we
Yeah.
set out specifically like for you to do that.
Yeah,
It was kind of cool.
I usually work with
I love that.
my cinematographer who shot like
Really everything.
yeah, everything. But this time I really wanted to do it myself for some reason. I just had this gut feeling of, I mean, also partially I just felt like doing it. Like I just wanted to DP, and
Sure.
it was a great experience. And like, so I was one work like using the actual like Ursa camera, and yeah.
Not me. I didn't touch it. I was nervous being around. The
No,
lights.
she was doing like
I was
16.
like, oh my god.
You were doing like 16 other things. Like
Yeah.
yeah, you were doing like a million trillion other
Oh, that's indie filmmaking.
yeah things.
Yep.
So other instrumental things that would have made the film crash. So like
Yeah.
we both wore a lot of hats on this one, but that was all conscious, and like we knew we were gonna do that from the beginning. So yeah, we're both a little control freaky, but
Yeah. No, I love it. I'm the same way. I write, direct, produce, edit. The one thing I don't do is usually color grade. And that's mainly because it's just a lack of skill that I have. I have done it before, but I need a better like process. Yeah, Scott, I need a class from you on
for
that.
sure. Yeah, I just watch a lot. I can say I just watch a lot of YouTube. So like I just like yeah. So yeah.
Do you have I know a couple, but do you have any recommendations on YouTube channels to watch for color or post production in general?
Yeah, there's a Da Vinci Crash Course channel. Oh my gosh, I wish I could remember their name right now. I think it's called Crash Course. I think that's the name of the channel, is Crash Course.
Gotcha.
Beyond that, there's also if you have money and you want to get probably the best online Da Vinci lesson ever, Key Code Media, their Da Vinci class is stellar.
Okay.
It teaches everything about so quick Key Code Media plug.
Key Code Media. We're plugging everything today. We don't even have no one is even paying us to do this. We just love film and helping people out.
It's just
Well, guys, I want to
Yeah,
thank you
yeah.
so much for coming on the
Thank
show.
you.
What you told us
Thank
a
you.
little bit about what's next in terms of post production and festivals and the feature you're kicking around, but it's my last question in my script for today. So, what is next for you in terms of film, life, what you're gonna have for lunch, whatever, or breakfast? I guess you're on the West Coast.
Well, breakfast is always a smoothie. You have to start your day
Okay.
off right, you know. And then lunch is fair game. It's a toss up. I would say what's next is definitely finishing this film and trying to get it out in the festival circuit, and then going out with our film from last year. So just really hoping to meet some people and expand our community. And then we're in the process of writing a really exciting folk horror feature.
Oh, love that.
And yeah,
We're going back into horror.
Yeah,
I love it.
Back to our roots for a minute.
You did use the term
And,
midsummer earlier. I don't know if that was unconscious or not.
It was unconscious.
It was. Yeah. It was.
It's just in my blood, in my brain. Yeah, so we're gonna give it a go to produce that independently, and just kind of, we're saying, like, take fate into our own hands, and not try to. We've had some success in optioning features, but it's a long game.
Sure.
So we just want to make this one ourselves, and we really believe we can do it. So
I love that.
You are an independent financier, and you
Hey,
want to join
we
us. Come on in.
another plug.
Well, plugging some upcoming plans for the Film Fund. I don't have a date, but we are very actively working toward launching a feature film funding program with the Film Fund.
Nice.
Well.
We
will be there again.
Yeah, I've had these plans since before the pandemic, and then the pandemic hit, and we've been getting the agency off the ground, FF branded, so I've been swamped with that. But I get emails so often say, "Do you guys want features?" I know it's mostly for shorts. Do you have features? And I have to say no, not yet, but we're working on it, and we are working on it. So stay tuned. There's going to be some big news coming.
Awesome.
Hopefully, by the end of this year, we'll have some stuff to show for that. At least a timeline.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And,
Listeners are gonna be like, it's rigged.
To you guys, nothing is rigged. Go to our thefilmfund.co/official rules. Everything is legit. Do you guys have social media channels you want to plug?
Sure.
Yeah, what's the Super Astra one?
The Super Astra Instagram is just Super Astra Films, all one word, no spaces, no other things. Super Astra Films. And then my personal Instagram is my Scott Alexander _Naar. That's me. If you type in Scott Naar, I'm sure you'll find me. I think I'm the only Scott Naar on the planet. So
and if you want to see pictures of our cat, because that's all.
The cat did make an appearance on the podcast. If you're watching the video, I didn't welcome the third guest.
He did.
What's his name?
He did.
Philip. I love
Phillip,
that.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for checking us out. Sarah, did you plug your social account? I may have just blanked on that. Okay.
Yep.
Official Sarah Naar. Awesome.
Yep.
There you go. Yep. Well, thank you again for coming. Everyone listening out there, check out thefilmfund.co for the most up-to-date information on contests. We're closing our winter narrative and documentary contests, or winter, this is an old script, spring narrative and documentary contests 2022 soon. So go to thefilmfund.co to submit your entry. And if you're listening at a later date, check out the website anyway, because we run about 4 contest periods per year. You can check out prizes and sponsors we have for the most up-to-date information. Also follow our email list, which you can sign up for on the website. That's where we send all the prize info and the dates and weekly updates and filmmaking tips on our blog, filled with great filmmaking producing tips, so you can stay up to date on what's happening with the Film Fund. We also have an ebook if you're a nerd like Scott and me and you want to learn about the pre-production process and really sit down and get into it. Go to our resources page, check that out. It's a free download. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. We release these episodes monthly now. Finally landed on that schedule, so usually on Friday. So check out social, Instagram, wherever you listen to podcasts as well. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Just thanks for having us. This
awesome.
has been great.
Thank you guys.
This has been great. Thank you so much.
And thanks for everything.
Absolutely. Glad to have you in the community, and we'll talk to everyone soon. Have a good one.